you have faith? 7.5 months ago, they operated on my neck. About 4 days ago, I said, Lord, would you please start bringing my upper notes back? And then over my piano here, this song, I gotta stop, take you back a couple of years. Okay, this song, What Faith Can Do, holds a very, very big place in my heart. I have shared with you many, many stories, but you have no idea how many more stories God has put in my entire 65.5 years. And this is why I'm cherishing what He's doing. We all know the frustration of what I'm waiting for Him to finish what He promised me. He's telling me, just chill, I've got it. But I'm a human being too, and I'm learning. But I've embraced the fact that there's a lot of similarities to me and Paul. And wow, I mean, when I think back 5, 6, 7 years ago, I was out to prove that some of the scriptures that he wrote were either being taken out of context or just absolutely appalling. And I just dove in and I found that the context and content that I thought they were to be is actually what they were to be. That was blessings upon blessings, because then that made me dive down in to start learning more and more and more about Paul. And as I'm learning more and more about Paul, I'm finding out Bob is very much like Paul. But I didn't really realize how much I am. I have no problem challenging churches when they're in wrongfulness, when they allow things to happen within their churches. You've heard me preach it, you see it preached. It's in the writings this morning. I do it probably once every week or 2 weeks, stating we need to stop being lukewarm in our churches, stop being apostate, because we're going to be leading people astray. And we have a responsibility as preachers, ministers, and pastors and priests to be not preaching a lukewarm gospel. If we don't preach both sides, that there is consequence for your sin as much as God will bless you, if we're only preaching the blessings upon blessings, and we're allowing people to walk in and out of our church in sin, well then we're letting them stay there, and we're not doing what we're supposed to be doing as shepherds. So we are allowing our congregation to sit in a lukewarm church in sin, and we're not doing anything. So I've had a couple of churches, and I've had a couple of places where, we've gotten a little bit of controversy in it. But the bottom line is, when you do the work that God asks you to do, having faith in Him, trusting Him, you find that there's a reason why God has given you this equipment, personality similar to Paul's, to not back down when you know you're correct with the scriptures. So back 6, 7 years ago, I think it was, maybe 5, I was going to a church close to downtown Willoughby. And one morning I got up and I had 2 songs ready to rock and roll for the offertories. I have to do offertories because they were asking me to give my brother Trenton a break. Good. Scared to death. Because it's me, myself, and I, and there is no cover of a band behind me. It's just me playing. So I had 2 songs ready, perfect, or pretty close to it. Bob had that perfection. He needed to do things. God was about to teach Bob a lesson that weekend. So I had Raising Hallelujah, and I can't remember what the other one was. But they were both really good. And I wake up and the Lord tells me, I want you to do this song. I can't remember what that song was either. But the message was just priceless. And I says, oh Lord, I'm taking a shower, and we're in one of my epic wrestling matches. Oh Lord, excuse me. I have never done that song. I don't have the chords, I don't have nothing to it. But I want you to do that song today. But Lord, I have these 2 songs ready. No, I want you to do that. So before I left my apartment, I printed out the chord structures and the words to it, just so I could work my way through it. And I had it down. Yeah, okay, I can get away with it. But when it came time for me to do the offertory, I had a decision to make. God's telling me, I want you to do this song, and I have these two songs over here that I know very well. I gotta choose submission and obedience, or do what Bob's opinion is. You wanna know why I preach these things? Submission and obedience, submission and obedience, submission and obedience, over taking what the world tells me or what my mind tells me. This is why, because I've had these priceless moments of where I had the choice of submission and obedience to God, doing the one song that He asked me to do, even though I knew I was going to make errors in it. Or doing the two songs that I am comfortable with. Uncomfortable, doing what God's asking me to do, possibly make a fool of myself, worrying about self-image, pride, fear, all myriad, just messing with my mind. Or do what Bob is comfortable with. How many people go and do what they're comfortable with instead of submitting to God? And here's the real cool thing that happened. Oh, I made two glaring mistakes. I did what God demanded of me to do. Played it. Got through it. And then I went to my seat and I sat down and I listened to the pastor start to preach. And his message matched the very song the Lord was demanding me to do. In the Lord's will, I walked as much as I was afraid and scared out of my mind, and I knew that it was not going to come out good. Sometimes we have to walk into a storm knowing the storm's going to come, and just simply to trust the Lord that He's going to make something absolutely amazing out of it. He's speaking and He's saying all the things that match the song. It was a perfect combination. And I sat the whole service in tears. Because it's like, Lord, this is what it's all about. Obedient and trusting You, even though it sucked. Because it hurt. I knew the mistakes were going to come, but I trusted You. I knew it was going to be painful, but I trusted You. And then I hear this sermon that matches this. Oh, that sounds so great, right? Wait. Because after the service was over, I walked up to the pastor and he goes, Bob, I was worried about you. And I go, oh? He goes, yeah. He says, you made two really bad mistakes. And I go, you think? And he goes, I was wondering if you heard a word of what I spoke. And I says, well, Pastor, I woke up this morning and God told me to play this song that I played. And I had never practiced it. I never worked on it until this morning. I had two songs ready. And I had to fight, wrestle with God all morning. Even when I was here practicing before you got to the church, I was working on that song. And when I played, when I had to make a decision, it was either submit or submit to self. I chose to submit to God. And what I heard was your message matched the song. So that was really special. And then the Lord showed off why I speak to submit to His will over ours. Because the pastor then tells me, well, isn't that interesting? You got two songs already prepared. And then the Lord tells you this morning to do that song. Let me tell you something, Bob. I had my sermon already prepared. Friday, the Lord tells me, nope. So I crumbled that one up. Saturday I wrote another sermon. 2 songs, 2 sermons. And then the Lord told me this morning, no. Do you see it? God took the pastor and me and moved us both to show off. You want to know why I preach with such veracity? It's not because I'm trying to intimidate and manipulate and push you. It's because I watch God do these things in my life. When you see things like that, how can you not admit that it's God's will when He shows you things like what I've been speaking about? And I wish somebody would wake up. Running one direction, listening to people, and He reverses the direction and goes the other direction. Because when you submit, you have that kind of moment happen. Where the Lord takes me and tells me to throw the 2 songs I had practiced already out the door and to trust Him. And then He takes the pastor and tells him to throw 2 sermons out the door and to trust Him. And He marries the 2 together perfectly. How can you not have faith? So the very next week, this song was a song that I did. Because it is about faith. It is about obedience. It is about seeking His will over your will, over the world's will, to do the submission and obedience so God can show off and get the glory that He's expecting that we are supposed to give Him in the first place. That is why I preach. Not because of what I'm going through right now, but because of what I have witnessed the Lord do throughout my life. I'm not angry. I'm overjoyed. I'm beyond. I was outside cleaning up my yard. The firewood's all in the backyard. I never envisioned I would feel this, to be able to do that. Everybody falls sometimes. You gotta find the strength to rise from the ashes and make a new beginning. Anyone can feel the ache. You think it's more than you can take, but you're stronger than you know. Don't you give up now. The sun will soon be shining. You got to face the clouds to find that silver lining. I see dreams that move the mountains. Hope that doesn't ever end, even when the sky is falling. I see miracles just happen. Silent prayers get answered. Broken hearts become brand new. 'Cause that's what faith can do. Do you believe that He can heal? Doesn't matter what you heard. Impossible is not a word. It's just a reason for someone not to try. Everybody's scared to death when they decide to take that step out on the water. It'll be alright. Life is so much more than what your eyes are seeing. You will find your way if you just keep believing. I see dreams that move the mountains. Hope that doesn't ever end, even when the sky is falling. I see miracles just happen. Silent prayers get answered. Broken hearts become brand new. 'Cause that's what faith can do. Overcome the odds, 'cause you don't have a chance. When the world says you just can't, it'll tell you that you can. Okay, I cowered it out. I see dreams that move the mountains. Hope that doesn't ever end. Do you have hope? Do you believe that God can change things? Even when it seems like the sky is falling. seen miracles. Silent prayers get answered. Broken hearts get brand new when he brings somebody. Because that's what faith can do. Because that's what faith can do. When we submit to God, we watch him show off big time, like what I just shared with you. People think that I'm just consumed with this situation. No, I've only got one thing remaining for everything to be fulfilled. And as much as the frustrations and the angers and the conflicts have come, I know God is God. And when I see him do that 5-6 years ago, to take me and move me, and to take the pastor and move the pastor, 2 songs, 2 sermons, and tell us to both to get rid of them and to bring something different to the church that morning, and they both marry together. What faith can do. Do you have faith the size of the seed of a mustard seed? Do you trust God or do you trust yourself? I could have gone the road that I wanted to, and man, I'll tell you, I wanted to because I knew what was going to happen. And it did happen. So what? The glory that God got from that moment. A story that I can share for the rest of my life, like this sermon, this message. This is what seeking his will is all about. If you know there's something that you can do in your life that would seek his will that you've been denying because you're listening to self, you're listening to others, and it seems impossible, are you giving God a chance to have the showing off of God's power, God's will, God's might, to give him the glory, or are you diminishing him and squashing the ability of your friends, your family, the ripple effect going out, to see his works, to come to know that this relationship that we have with him can be so priceless that you can have that kind of moment. 2 songs ready, 2 sermons ready. No. And we both throw them out, and he brings the 2 of us together. And the song and the sermon married and matched. We either submit to him and trust him, submit to what we know is his will, even it's scary, like it said. It doesn't matter what you've heard. Impossible is not a word. It's just a reason for you not to try. I don't care whether you're in Australia, in England, or in the Netherlands, or wherever. If you know God is showing you to do something and you deny doing it, then are you trusting him? Impossible is not a word to God. If he's telling you to do something, good Lord. It means he's got the Red Sea parted. He's got the land dry so you can walk through it. It doesn't mean it's going to be perfect. It wasn't perfect. I made 2 glaring errors, but my gosh, the glory that he got from it, because the stories I'm going to be able to share from that storm, from that ugliness. Oh my gosh, what do they think of me? Because I was willing to say, okay, they're not going to like it, it's going to really be hideous. But I was willing to say, well, oh well, humility versus pride. Do we walk in pride and not walk in his will? Or do we walk in his will and have humility and glorify the Lord? That story will be shared probably 100 to 1,000 times before I die. Because I'm pretty sure I'm going to live in a long time. Do God's will, not yours, not the world's, and understand the blessings. My gosh, look at what he's done here. This is not possible by me. I'm one man. What I do with ministry is not possible just by me. I just sit down and whatever. I had no idea what I was going to talk about, but I knew I was going to use this song. Submission. Walking and doing His will. I thought I was going to talk about something completely different, and he shares this over here. I'm like, well, I guess we're going that road. If that isn't a glorious story of God taking two sermons, two songs from two different people who both are hard-headed, both have temperaments, both have an attitude of, no, this is where I gotta go, both submitted to God's will, and God showed off what God can do, even though he could have had a real ugly sermon, and Bob did have a real ugly song, but it was just the beauty of it. You want to have this kind of joy, you want to have this kind of peacefulness, would you trust God and walk in His will that He has shown you? And I promise you, you will not be disappointed. Trust me on that. You will not be disappointed. God cannot let you down. Seek Him by asking, seeking, and knocking. But as you ask, seek, and knock, when He gives you an answer, walk with it. And then you'll find blessings instead of confusion from the world. Pull the fabrics, pull the threads out of the world from the Bible that have been sewn into it from the churches that we go to. Pull those threads out and go back to the basics of the Bible. Trust the Lord with all your heart, all your soul, all your mind, and all your strength. Submit to Him in all ways, and He will make straight your path. We either trust Him, submit to Him, or we submit to self, and that would have been disobedience. And that's what that is when we're walking out of His will. So if you know something that's in your life that you've seen Him show you, squash the fear, squash the pain, squash the trembling in the bushes and all the trees and stuff like that, the way Adam and Eve were hiding after they sinned, and trust that God will give a path to walk out faithfully with Him, and it won't be quite as bad as we think. Have yourself a blessed afternoon and a blessed Sunday. Until the next time.